Coming up tonight on YCN News, opponents of a voter requirement bill are speaking out. Vermont takes steps toward complete renewable energy, and the manhunt continues for two escaped New York prisoners. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Friday, June 12th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. We begin tonight's news with an update on a story we brought you last week about voter requirements in New Hampshire. When we brought you this story, the State House was backing a bill that would require voters in the state to have lived there for at least 30 days before voting in an election. But now opponents are speaking out after meeting yesterday in an effort to urge Governor Hassan to veto the bill. Supporters of the bill had said it would prevent drive-by voting, where voting results are allegedly tipped because of non-New Hampshire residents casting ballots. However, critics are saying that there is no evidence that this even happens and requested that the Secretary of State reveal documents from the past decade that relate to voter fraud. Apparently, there's no tangible evidence in any of 26 pages of documents of such fraud, reports the Valley News. Opponents say there's no reason to restrict voter rights if there's no evidence and that Governor Hassan is likely to veto the bill. Across the border in Vermont, Governor Peter Shumlin has announced through a press release that a new energy bill will bring over 1,000 jobs to the state. The new bill hopes to also cut energy costs by almost $400 million and will help the ongoing battle against climate change. Governor Shumlin says this bill is the latest innovation in Vermont's role as the leader of energy policy and reform in the nation. When he took office back in 2011, Shumlin had set the goal of achieving 90% renewable energy in the state by the year 2050. And significant progress has been in reaching this threshold. Steps taken so far include increasing the amount of solar panels, creating energy-efficient programs, and installing charging stations for electric vehicles. By implementing these measures, Vermont has created around 15,000 jobs and hopes to be a model for the rest of the nation. The 4 people missing from their home in Rindge, New Hampshire, have been found by police in New York, reports New England Cable News this afternoon. 34-year-old Holly Aho and her 2 children, Nathan and Emily, age 14 and 9 years old respectively, plus the 4th person, Ryan Sandler, 1.5 years old, were last heard from on June 8th via social media. Vermont state officials and law enforcement ask residents and visitors to the state to remain patient and vigilant as the search for 2 escaped inmates from the New York State Prison continues. There's no sign that either inmate is headed to Vermont or already in Vermont, stresses Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin. State police and Vermont Fish and Game officers are patrolling the Lake Champlain shoreline. Governor Shumlin and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo are coordinating efforts to ensure public safety in each state. The Vermont State Police continue to reach out to residents in communities along Lake Champlain. Vermont State Police Field Force Commander Major Walt Goodall asks Vermonters to report any suspicious behavior to 911. This behavior can include nighttime lights in unexpected places, including in woods and break-ins at seasonal camps. Vermont State Troopers have followed up on 28 tips that came through 911, all ending in false sightings or events unconnected to the escapee situation. Well, coming up on YCN News, academic assessment tests will stick around in New Hampshire schools. The New Hampshire House and Senate plan out the state budget and even more graduations to tell you about in the Twin State region. Plus more news, sports, and the end of the week forecast when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. As the school year winds down for students everywhere, New Hampshire students will not get a break from taking state-required academic assessment tests. Governor Maggie Hassan vetoed House Bill 603 yesterday. The bill called for allowing students to opt out of assessments that help teachers, parents, and students themselves determine how well they're learning. Also at risk to the state were federal funds if no statewide measure of education progress existed. President of the State Business and Industry Association, Jim Roach, wrote a letter to Hassan in support of the BIA's membership. Roach noted a lack of educational standards could hurt the state's ability to recruit and retain new companies. Meanwhile, in Concord, New Hampshire, both House and Senate budget negotiators are working toward an informal deadline that they've set in order to finish the next two-year spending plan. They have set next Thursday, June 18th, as the date to have the plan completed. A conference of committee met today to set guidelines for the plan in light of the Senate's plan requiring expenditures of around $150 million more than the House. Neither the Senate's nor the House's plan includes funds for Medicaid expansion beyond 2016, and the agreed-upon budget will ultimately go to Governor Hassan, who has the right to pass or veto it. 160 students graduated last night from Lebanon High School. Dressel Gymnasium in Springfield, Vermont will be the site of tonight's high school graduation. Also in Vermont, Windsor High School graduates will cross the stage at 7 p.m. this evening. And across the river at 6 p.m., seniors graduate from Stevens High School in Claremont, New Hampshire. And finally, Kearsarge Regional High School is holding its commencement tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. on the football field. YCN will be there, and we'll have the event on our channel at the beginning of the next news week. YCN News extends its congratulations to all students and their families. And on a patriotic note, Sunday is Flag Day. On June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress supported the need for a national flag. A design was improved, the one we know today of stars and stripes, although the number of stars has grown over the last 200 years. When YCN News returns, hear about how you can become a part of the Platinum Passport Club at Muskoma Savings Bank. Lynn Solomon has those details. And to talk with Doreen McKinney, we'll have that interview coming up next on YCN News.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, it was another beautiful one out there aside from a couple passing showers, and it looks like things won't be changing too much for the weekend. There's a chance some of those graduations tonight may have to be moved indoors with threats of heavy rain, but things should be nice otherwise with low humidity and temperatures in the lower 60s. Those showers will make their way out of the area by the early morning hours tomorrow, making for mostly sunny skies with a high of 82 degrees during the day. Skies will remain clear overnight with a low of 57, paving the way for a picture-perfect day Sunday with clear skies and a high of 82 degrees. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening over the weekend. The Springfield Community Farmers Market will be held tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the People's United Bank parking lot in downtown Springfield, Vermont. There will be a variety of vendors on hand and entertainment for kids. The New London Barn Playhouse will present the 58th Annual Straw Hat Review, which will introduce the 2015 Barneys, tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. Call the number on the screen to purchase tickets or find out more. The Claremont Eagles Club on Washington Street in Claremont, New Hampshire is hosting a pool tournament on Sunday beginning at 1 p.m. Call the number on the screen for more information. Well, it was an exciting one in Springfield yesterday as the school's third-ranked softball team concluded its semifinal with 7th-seeded Randolph after heavy rain Tuesday forced that game to be postponed.
Things picked right back up in the top of the second with the score still knotted at 0, and it wasn't until the 5th inning when 7th-seeded Randolph broke the ice with the game's first run when this line drive up the middle made it a 1-0 game. The third-ranked Cosmos limited the damage by getting a key out at home on the play, and ace pitcher Jay Twombly did her part from there to get her team out of an eventual bases-loaded jam. Springfield stranded at least one runner in scoring position in each of its next two at-bats, but the home team rallied back when it had to with a key two-out rally in the 7th. Brooke Wiley started things off by drawing a walk to put the tying runner on, before Lena Geyer's clutch single here put two runners on for senior Chelsea McAllister. And McAllister didn't disappoint despite fouling off two quick pitches to begin the at-bat, driving in Wiley with the tying run to force extra innings. Twombly did her part keeping Randolph off the board from there, allowing just 3 hits and a pair of walks through 9 innings of work. Once in the 9th, the Cosmos benefited from a couple misplays on well-executed bunts, setting the stages for another clutch at-bat by Geyer. And once again, the sophomore came up big, smacking this single into left field to plate the game-winning run to send Springfield back to the championship game for the first time since 2011. That game will be played tomorrow at 5 p.m. in Poultney against top-seeded BFA Fairfax. I spoke with Twombly after the game, who talked about defying the expectations of those who thought it would be a rebuilding year for the young team.
I mean, it means everything, especially going into the season, and a lot of people thought that we were just going to be a rebuilding year, and to show them that we aren't. We're a strong team, and we're going to fight for that championship. Coming into this game, I definitely expected to have to pitch one of my best games I've played, and being one run away is not something that is rare in softball, and we had to go as a team and fight to win, and we did.
I also spoke with Geyer, who touched on her thoughts heading into her final at-bat and the significance of home field advantage.
Well, at first I was really nervous, but I knew I had my team behind me no matter what happened. Like we were struggling a little bit at first in the game, but we pulled it together. I just kept telling myself, stay calm, like if it's meant to be, I'll hit it. Oh, it definitely helped. It was great. Just the energy on the field, on this field, at any time, it's just great, especially because we weren't supposed to have this game on our field. It was amazing. It was a miracle that we were able to have it here, and another miracle happened on the field. So
I then spoke to Springfield coach Andy Bladika, who described what he told his players heading into what could have been their final at-bat in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Really, it was me just telling them that no matter what happened, I wanted them to stick together as a team. I said, we've had a lot of fun together this year. Don't let whatever happens here, it's not going to change anything. Just band together for this 1.5 inning, find a way to make something happen and keep having fun together. And that's really been the theme of this team. Mike and I we're laid back at this point in our careers. We do a lot of smiling. We keep it fun. In this particular group, we don't have a lot of intense kids. They just come to the park every day and work on playing the game well, and do it with a smile on their faces. And I've never had a group with quite the same kind of chemistry as this. And it's just been a really enjoyable year to coach softball. It really has. And obviously, when you win, and all these things, you win 6 out of 7 one-run games. Obviously, it's fun, but just this group of kids, man, I love them.
And in girls lacrosse action last night, second-ranked Hanover came up just 1 goal short in the championship game against top-ranked Windham. But still, it was a great season for those Marauders. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Okay, Mike. Well, for Monday, we'll have the results from a handful of championship games taking place this weekend. Well, it is Friday. That means a look at all the stories making headlines. YCN News Director Lisa Connell is joined by Capital Connections host John O'Connor. We'll have the weekend review when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.